Hey Josh, I think we're making a little bit of noise out there.
Yes, definitely. We're ruffling some feathers, to say the least.
And it's kind of funny that these misconceptions are already hitting, and we just started shipping yesterday.
Right. So
some people are kind of opening their mouths without actually testing first.
yeah, absolutely. So like Brad mentioned, there's some misconceptions going around, some comments on our release videos and everything, and before those got out of hand, we just want to address them and give the people the facts on our system.
I appreciate the advertising. I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go over them one by one.
Okay, let me get in my phone here. The first question or comment was, we went away from the factory fuel filter because over time and high filter load, they tend to collapse on itself and let debris enter the HP4.
So basically, if you're not servicing the filter properly, it's going to wear out. It's going to become restrictive, and the pump in the tank, that three-phase pump, phase 3 pump, will collapse the filter element.
Yeah, I mean, any filter, an air filter, any filter, if you're not servicing them, yes, they can collapse. In the scenario where that does collapse and debris does make it past, we have an even better filter element after that. It's going to trap any debris, water. So that is not a concern whatsoever. The second one was, we went away from the factory filter housing because they like to crack, especially with gel diesel fuel. Well, we also went away from the factory filter housing because we have a 6061 T6 billet housing. It's definitely not going to crack with gel diesel fuel.
You know, well, speaking about gel fuel, depending on your application, you can put our heater probe in here or here.
Right.
Okay, we're going to have the bushing coming up. And speaking of the billet housing, we have a billet cap coming.
Correct. And on top of being able to add our heater probes, it's got the factory fuel heater built into that water and fuel sensor. Again, it has excellent heating capacity. The next one was, at 600 horsepower, the factory lift pump already struggles to push fuel through the 5-micron filter. How is it going to push fuel through, it says 2 5-micron filters, but it would be a 5-micron and a 2-micron filter. Under load, how much differential pressure is present under load?
Well, you were curious about this in the first place.
Yeah, that was, believe it or not, we really thought about all these things when we were designing this.
We're a filtration company.
Lots of testing on our flow bench, and even though we are adding a 2-micron filter after the 5-micron filter, lots of playing around with different machining on the internal porting, this actually has less differential pressure across the entire unit than that factory filter housing with the factory brand new filter and a single filter element. Better filtration, less differential pressure.
And I want to step in and say something. It's not just the porting that Josh improved, okay? It's actually the extreme water separator that we have in here. This is a microglass element. It's 400% more efficient than cellulose, which almost all filters out there are. So what I mean by that is, if you wanted to use a cellulose element and get this same efficiency, you would have to blow this up 4 times. It'd be restricted by space.
And those are rated at 25 gallons per minute.
Yes, and takes out 99.96% of the water at 165 gallons an hour. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so now we have better flow than the stock setup. As the filter collects dirt and water that makes it through the stock one, yes, it will become restrictive. But the reason that's great, because you're restricting that dirt and water from getting up to your injection system. Now, what this guy that is a little bit butthurt about is that he took, and his ports are bigger, okay? But he took a can like this, removed the factory filter, and put this can over this water sensor. Well, what the problem is that when you do this, you enclose that water sensor on the clean side of the element. What's supposed to happen is, when that water sheds off in the can or in the bowl that's right here, that water goes down to the bottom on the dirty side where that sensor reaches to. And when the water collects, creates connectivity right here, sends off a light in your dash, so you know that water's in the filter. With them enclosing it and putting on the clean side, the water can collect down here and collect, and then it passes through and it's damaging your injection system. And you don't even know it, because it's not collected enough to have connectivity on that tip to send off the light in the dash.
That's right.
And if it would ever send off that light in the dash, it's too late.
Hey, that's just a light letting you know it's time to replace your injectors at that point.
Do you want to swallow another carbon monoxide detector to show them how
Yeah,
it does not work?
I don't think so.
Okay. What's the next one, Josh?
Okay, the next one is, and he is talking about how we're adding air separation, since now there is a controlled leak between the lift pump outlet and the HP4, your injection pump inlet, how are we going to address the leak detection codes that will be present? Are we supposed to turn them off? There's no codes. We have installed these and tested these on numerous trucks, ranging from bone stock to some very hot tuned trucks that run very good.
Okay.
Absolutely no codes present. So that is a non-existent issue.
Okay.
Moving on to the next one, and I know this is one that you will want to address yourself, but since the factory lift pump operates under a constant fluid volume, meaning submerged in fuel in the fuel tank, how is it possible for air to be introduced into the system?
Well, air is easily introduced. For one, air is almost everywhere. Look at this Caterpillar service topic. It talks about 10% air in fuel right here in stationary fuel. So you need to look that one up. Discussing the CAT service topic about the 10% air in stationary fuel, air is basically everywhere. It changes at atmospheric pressure. When you go up in altitude, you change the amount of vapor being produced under a vacuum changes. When you go down lower, it changes. Air is everywhere. That's why we have air separation on here. Now, the other thing is you have a net positive suction head, which he's correct about. But when you add agitation of going down the road, I know the fuel is in a bowl, but you have the return fuel coming in. Anytime that you have an eddy current, agitation, and that eddy current is basically like in our competition, you know, right here we have this mandrel bend going through here. Our competition goes in and just T-bones into the T-bone and then over to a 90. That creates eddy currents where you can have actually a vacuum even under a pressure, a pressurized area. So that's where the air comes from. 10% air in fuel per Caterpillar, and the return fuel and the agitation and eddy currents. That's where air comes from. My name is on this, okay? Whenever we send something out, you're never going to do any better buying anyone else's product. When you buy this and you put this on your truck, you're getting the absolute best in the market, second to none by far.
Yeah, I see your shirt says FASS diesel fuel systems. I would hope that means that you specialize, and we specialize in diesel fuel systems.
When you cut us, there's a lot of people here, you know, a lot of people here that drive normal cars, and there's a lot of us like you and everything that when you cut us, we bleed fuel.
That's right. Now, for more information, to locate a dealer near you, or to order yours up today, be sure to check them out at fastride.com.